Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the AER podcast. My name is Jason Weber. On this month's podcast, episode 8, I'm with Matt Byrd of Specialty Coating Products. Matt's been with Specialty Coating Products for about 5 months now, and his story of how he got to the job is a pretty interesting one. Matt's a really good guy. Him and I work very closely together since he's been with SCP. And I'm glad he had time to join me on the podcast. Before we jump right in, I want to tell you guys about air-equipment.com. We have anything you need in the finishing industry to spray, blast, anything. From brands like Graco, Binks, PMC, DeVilbiss, Clemco, Bullard, you name it. Right now, my listeners, if you're listening to this podcast, at checkout, if you use AER Pod, the promo code AER Pod, that's AER POD, you'll get a 10% discount off your first online order. Keep in mind that all orders online of $50 or more also get free shipping. So couple the free shipping after $50 or more and the 10% discount. It's a really good deal. And so that's air-equipment.com, and the promo code's AER Pod. That's AER POD. And now here is episode 8 of the AER podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the AER podcast. My name is Jason Weber. I'm here with Matt Byrd, technical sales representative for Specialty Coating Products. What's going on, Matt?
What's going on, Jason?
Hey, thanks for joining me. I know we've been trying to get this going for a little bit, and life's busy and work's busy, so thanks for squeezing me in.
No problem at all. Glad to do it.
Great. So if we want to just jump right into it, Matt's been working for Specialty Coating Products for about 5 months now.
Yeah, going into 5 months.
And you have a little bit of an interesting story of how you got the job, and if you want to share that, how did it all come to be?
Yeah, man, it was kind of a, like I said, an interesting way to get here. But I mean, you want me to start off with how I got into the industry, or just how I started with?
Yeah, let's get your story about SCP, and we'll get into how you got into the paint industry later.
So yeah, man, I moved to San Antonio from Mississippi to work with a paint company about a year and a half ago, and anyway, it was a weird situation, kind of walking into it, where there was I didn't really know exactly what I was walking into. We had some customers, and basically this one position depended on one customer, and I had no clue that was the case until I got here and found out. So I spent basically a year with that company trying to save this one account that had both feet out the door pretty much before I got over here. And anyway, it was just an uphill battle that we weren't able to overcome, mostly due to just some crazy price wars and anything. But anyway, about that time, I guess the end of that challenge, that our year was up with the customer and the contract, and Frank Peterson, who is the owner of Specialty Coating Products, was looking for somebody in the area, and we just happened to live in the same neighborhood. Our kids go to the same schools. Wow. We didn't know each other, but it's like one of maybe 10 people that know anything in the area about industrial coatings, and we're practically neighbors. And anyway, he had a guy that works for Carboline that reached out to him saying, "Hey, there's a guy that was basically aware of the situation and the position that the last company was in, and he was like, hey, I think this guy's going to be looking for something, and I think you guys would be a great fit." And anyway, so met with Frank, and anyway, we just kind of talked it out, and it seemed like it was going to be a good thing for each other. And so yeah, we've been at it about 5 months, man, and it's been really, really good.
You guys been going.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah, we've had a lot going on, man. I've been surprised at just the traction and the pace that we've been going at. Just basically from the get go.
That's just welcome to working with Frank Peterson is what that is, man.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, so you like it. You like working for specialty coating products.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's a good fit. So we're a representative of Carboline, and we're basically an extension of Carboline. We have all the support and everything from Carboline. We sell through Carboline. They're a pretty big company, pretty big manufacturer. They have a huge spec presence.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing coming from other smaller paint manufacturers is you go against Carboline and they're on every spec just about out there, and they've got an incredible list of products, and it's just a great company. It's a crappy one to compete against, but it's a great one to work for.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, working for SEP, it's working for a bigger company, but directly working for, I guess, a smaller company. So you have all the support of a bigger company, but you have the freedom in a lot of ways of working for a smaller company.
Right.
That's
Yeah, because there's 3 of y'all.
Yeah, it's 3 of us.
Man. And then speaking of that, also SCP, you guys also, kind of are representatives of our company as well for sales. So
Yeah.
How have you noticed any hurdles going into like the equipment side of it?
Yeah, man. I mean, you brought us in when I guess we first started to try to get this thing going and pushing and getting out and making sales for air equipment, and and truly becoming a partner and supporting you guys however we can. You brought us in and tried to train us on the parts and the equipment of like some of the blast stuff, and yeah, man, that's the part that I think we still got a lot to tackle, learning the intricacies of all that. But yeah, I mean, it's you guys are a solid partner to be with. Y'all help us out and support us whenever we need it, and and y'all provide a great service for your customers, and so it's really cool being able to not only represent Carboline but represent you guys, and it gets us in a lot of doors, being able to walk in with blast equipment or paint equipment, and just yeah.
Right. If you listen to the very first podcast with Frank Peterson, he said that's the whole reason that he started this company, was because he wanted to go to his customer and say, I can give you anything you can coat finish your job with, but also prep your job with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a really cool concept, and it takes a guy like Frank to kind of think outside the box and figure something out that'll work like that. So
exactly,
it's pretty
man.
cool.
Frank's a smart dude. He worked with Carboline for years, and he was solid there, man. He was good. He didn't have to do this, and it was he saw the opportunity and the potential, and yeah, I mean, it's completely there. But it's more, not as much as like, I guess, what he can do, but the needs that he saw in customers and how we could solve a lot of issues customers were having, or provide solutions that they didn't even know they needed. You walk in and yeah, I mean, you've got paint shops out there that have sprayed everything under the sun and they know exactly what they're doing. But then you have the other end of that where there's shops that they went down the road to some paint store and bought a coating that they don't know why they were given that coating. That's just what they were told to use, and they've been spraying it for 5 years, and now they're just kind of realizing that there's other things out there, and they don't, like I said, they don't have a clue why they're using that product. And we can come in and see what their process is, what their needs are, and whether it's they're just getting hammered on pricing, or if it's usually it would be the equivalent to somebody coming in, I guess, that's spraying an 100% epoxy tank lining with trying to buy like a latex, I guess, level Graco spray pump or something,
which we've seen.
Yeah, and then you come in, you try to upgrade them to what they actually need, and that's where I think, kind of along the same lines in the paint world, we want to supply our customers with exactly what it is they need, something that's not overkill or underkill. It's just, fits their process and gets their their manufacturing flowing smoothly and profitably, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. There's other options out there for what they need that they're not using, and I think Frank saw that, and anyway, there's a lot of opportunities out there that
that's good. But Frank's a good guy, he's a smart guy, but we're not here to talk about him, right?
Yeah,
So
my bad.
no, I was messing with you. But on a more serious note, I guess we want to back me up here. We got a young Matt Byrd, just graduated college. How do we get from that day to where you are now?
Oh, dude.
How do you get into the coatings industry? Because I feel like everybody who's ever been in the coatings industry, whoever is in the coatings industry, they jumped into it somewhere in their career. Because, like I said before the podcast, no one went to college saying, I'm going to go sell paint when I graduate college, So
exactly.
Walk me through that path.
So I went to Southern Miss, and I graduated, and I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do.
Stop that right there,
Okay.
because we're not friends anymore now. You told me you went to Southern Miss, man. I'm UTSA Roadrunner.
Oh, that's right. You are.
We got issues now.
Yeah, dude. I'm sorry. What is it? November? We got a game coming up
Yeah,
against
you
y'all?
guys are probably gonna spank us. We're pretty
I
terrible.
don't know. We're not looking so
Right.
good either this year.
But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Go ahead.
You're good. Where was I? Oh yeah. Okay, so I graduated from Southern Miss, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And my first job out of college was customer service for an insurance company, and it sucked. I mean, the only time anybody called was like when they weren't getting their stuff paid, and these are people like a lot of them in dire situations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you were the one getting the brunt of their emotions and anger, but it definitely wasn't anything I wanted to stay involved in. And there was a sales opportunity that opened up selling plastic additives for PVC manufacturers at like vinyl fencing and siding and that kind of deal. And anyway, it was a great opportunity to get into sales, and was a great little company to work with. And it was about the time that I'd gotten married, and we had our first kid on the way, and the travel was picking up, and it was only going to just keep going stronger and stronger. And we did a lot of importing from China, and I was supposed to start taking on more of a responsibility of our Chinese suppliers, which meant traveling over to China more often. And just at the time, it just wasn't a good fit for me and my family and our growing family. And so anyway, I started looking for another opportunity, and actually went to another plastics company that was double the travel time. So, and that was kind of an interesting year. But from that company, I got into coatings when I was out a year and had a 1-year-old at home, and just never saw my family, and basically just see them on Saturday and Sunday, and then have to head out again the next day.
You don't want that.
Yeah, it wasn't quite what I was looking for.
So how did that job come up? Just you found it, or someone? It was
just it was kind of a headhunter opportunity. The first time like I'd ever been reached out to, and thought like, all right, well this might be legit, but it was like I said, it was an interesting year, but it was way more travel than I wanted to do, and again, wasn't quite what it was explained to me that it would be as far as the travel and stuff. And so I again got some feelers out there looking for something else, and was approached by a small regional paint manufacturer, and went to work for those guys. When I worked for those guys, I think it was like 5 years. And that's pretty much where I gained knowledge and learned about the industry, and had a boss there that I really looked up to. He's just a fantastic all around dude, and he went to the next paint company that I worked for, and followed him over there, and that's pretty much how I got to San Antonio. So yeah,
that's always good to have someone that you can kind of get under their wing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, especially when I started here, I didn't know what I was doing, and so you get those older guys, or more experienced guys.
Yeah.
I learned you get in trouble saying older guys.
Yeah.
The more experienced guys to kind of take you under their wing and teach you what they know. So that's
man.
great. It really helps you out when you get further on in your career.
You do. You get somebody that invests the time and energy into you and helps you grow in your career. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good experience for me to have somebody like that in my career to pretty much just follow and like you said, take me under his wing. And so anyway, that again, that's pretty much how I got over to San Antonio. And now I'm teamed up with Frank. So
yeah,
or Specialty Coating Products. I'll quit dropping
Frank's
name.
Yeah. What are the, because some of those paint manufacturers you probably work for are probably pretty large.
No,
they're all pretty small.
The first one was small. It was a small company called Mobile Paint. They specialize mostly in they've got some good high performance products, which is considered like the epoxies and urethanes.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess mostly what they specialize in are like alkyd products. There's a lot of companies out there that make alkyds. Just I don't think there's anybody out there that makes them as good as Mobile Paint, and that's like I said, that's pretty much what they specialized in.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that's a pretty good, I guess, paint system to kind of learn about the paint industry in. They're pretty simple and straightforward. There's no catalyst or anything typically involved, and but yeah, it was mostly structural steel and like trailer manufacturers and kind of just smaller manufacturers. But yeah, it was a pretty good company.
Yeah.
To work with.
So
yeah.
it was a little smaller. That's what my question was going to be. Have you noticed the difference between like working for a larger manufacturer versus a smaller one? But I guess you work for Carboline, so
yeah. So the company I went with after Mobile Paint, it was a larger international company, and that one was tough, man. They especially the international companies, they'll go from they're probably based out of Europe somewhere, and they have a certain way of doing business in Europe. It seems to be a little slower, and in their ways of just manufacturing product and keeping inventory, and they want to put that same mindset over in the U.S. and it never works,
like,
man.
I want it today.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And they pictured it almost like the marine industry, where a ship's coming to dry dock and 2 months out or something, and you can prepare to have the paint and everything ready at the dock when when the boat pulls up. And they expect it to be that way in oil and gas and everything else, and that's just not the case. And so anyway, but yeah, that's as far as working for bigger companies. It's which it had its pros too, but that was a big difference. I think you have a lot working for smaller companies. You have a lot more leniency, and I think Carboline operates in the mindset, even though they're big and they're part of a huge company called RPM that owns Rust-Oleum and all other types of products. But Carboline themselves, they operate almost like a smaller manufacturer.
They're very regionalized, right?
Like extremely. I mean, they're super accessible as far as getting the products to customers, especially in a timely fashion. But they have inventory, and they just it's just. Yeah, and then I worked for a smaller company within that. Pretty much, it's kind of a weird deal. So
you kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You get the supply and the, I guess, inventory and everything of a large company, but then you get the benefit of working for a small company
exactly.
as well.
We have access to their engineers, their technical staff and customer service, and I mean even their executive levels. I mean they're pretty accessible compared to what. A lot of other bigger companies and kind of their big wigs typically aren't, but it's just really cool seeing the way Carboline works internally compared to what I've always seen on the outside looking in. But yeah,
well, when you're going to get competing against them,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now you're part of the team.
Yeah, it's a lot better on this side for sure. Yeah.
So I know we kind of touched on this before the podcast. Do you have any crazy stories or anything that sticks out to you over your how long you been in the industry?
So I've been in paint, I guess 7 years now, I think.
So
7 or 8 years.
you seen anything out there that just stuck out to you?
All the time. I mean, you always come across guys that, like I mentioned, people that are using the wrong product or something, and they don't know it, and you're like, what the heck is, what the heck are y'all doing? But now I'm trying to think of a good one, man. I just kind of on the spot. Yeah.
Give me one in 5, 4, 3. No.
Exactly. I had that. I worked for like that 1 year that I worked for the company that I was like just traveling like crazy. They had all kinds of like products, and they I was brought on to be their industrial rep or bring in more industrial business, and that's what I enjoy. That's what I think I've basically kind of specialized in. But we did worked with aircraft repair facilities doing aircraft tooling. We had like mil spec epoxies and different things that were, I guess, kind of specialized for that industry that could get into other, I guess, industrial segments of the composite world. But they also had like a big piece of, I guess, what's the special effects industry. So they did a lot with just with movies and stuff. Like I got to go on a couple of sets to like they would be using our product to make molds and castings of like what was it? I think it was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. They had a big boneyard or something. So I had to go in there and help them, like show them how to like make some of the molds and cast of the bones. And
so you listed in the credits on that movie? Or?
No.
I was gonna look.
yeah, I wish. No, that was an interesting, like, I don't know. There was always something that was interesting to see that you were walking into with that job, but I don't know, man. They got into they got into adult toys and everything else.
Wow.
It was all over the place.
It's a family show, man.
Sorry. But it was that one was just all over the place. So you got like just tons of exposure to all kinds of crazy things.
It's crazy what you can do with different, coatings and products and everything. You don't think of it until
exactly, man.
Until you see it.
Exactly.
And we had a guy that came in here a couple years ago. He bought all of our scrap sandblast hose because he trains police dog canines. He said that he buys toys for them and they just get torn up. So he'd come in here and he'd buy like 4 or 5 foot section, whatever scrap we had in the back.
Really?
We'd sell it to him for $250 a foot or whatever, just trying to get rid of it. And he would cut it up and to make dog toys out of it. And he'd train the canines with them.
That's crazy.
It's just stuff like that, random stuff that people do.
Man, there's so many random ways to make money with that company, man. There's so I got you would get emails when you got orders saying, hey, this guy bought X amount of product, and when it's over a certain amount, they'll it's worth your while to go in and see this guy. And anyway, this guy bought like just a buttload of stuff that so I go to call on this guy, and I was expecting to pull up to a business, and I'm riding around this residential neighborhood, and I pull up, and it's like a house. And he's had his garage door open, and I just see all these like shelves of stuff, and I didn't really know what it was till I walked in, and he was in there working, and it kind of knocked on the outside of the garage and was like, hey, man, I'm with this company, and you bought a bunch of our stuff. I was a rep in the area, just wanted to say hey. And anyway, but he was like doing all these, I guess, kind of like bootleg Star Wars and Star Trek memorabilia.
Oh, wow.
But it's like you can make a mold of pretty much anything with this stuff, and then just cast this resin into it. But yeah, you never knew what you were going to walk into with that company.
He's in jail now, so
yeah, probably.
No one messes with George Lucas.
That's right.
Okay, so do you got anything else for me, or anything you want to share?
No, man. I mean, this is kind of like I said with specialty coating products. We're a company that we want to come in and we want to identify solutions. We want to see what products you're using, what products we can offer that would improve your process or improve your profitability. A lot of the expense of I guess the coatings process is involved in man hours.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a lot of people that are getting these inexpensive, basically alkyd coatings that and paying I'm surprised sometimes how much these guys are paying for some of this stuff, but you could easily swap some of this over with a faster drying. We've got one product that's called CarboQuick 200. It's an incredible, it's a polyaspartic, just a fast dry. Basically, you're getting a epoxy urethane system in one coat, and it dries in like 20-30 minutes in this kind of Texas heat. You can jump on it. Like it's crazy how fast this stuff dries. And we've got all these tank manufacturers and stuff looking at it and switching over to it. And but we've got other segments that is we're finding that is working in super good as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, we're trying to identify I guess those type of opportunities and want to help wherever we can with your anything from solvents to blast media equipment, and specifically coatings. So yeah, we want to be that kind of a specialist to come in and help out. So yeah.
So where can they find you if they need you?
Yeah, I guess look up Specialty Coating Products in San Antonio.
Okay, so Google Specialty Coating Products San Antonio and ask for Matt Byrd.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for joining me. And everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the AER podcast. We'll see you guys next month.
It's been so long, it's hard to breathe when the trust is gone. Your face is still just melts away in the weather. You got a lot to wait, so yeah, if you got a lot to say, just